סליחה, העברית שלי על הפנים. אני צריך לדבר באנגלית. Patience, please. סבלנות. תודה. So, hands up here who has seen an AWS bill before. Everyone, I'd assume, yeah, keep your hands up. Put your hands down if you've never been surprised by an AWS bill. Okay, cool. Looks like honest responses. You can all put your hands down. Thank you very much. So, my name is Elliott Spira. I'm from a company called GorillaStack in Australia. And I'm here at the moment with a New South Wales government trade mission. So the New South Wales government, that's the state in which Sydney, Australia is based, has selected a few startups to come out and speak with local Israeli startups to try to collaborate and find some ways to work together. So that's what brings me out, and I thought, well, given that there's a meetup, I may as well come and share something cool that I've seen out there, out and about. So I decided that I'd come and speak about Squeegee. Squeegee, in English, Squeegee is the special rubber. It's the rubber window cleaner. When you stop at an intersection and someone cleans your window. I don't know whether people do that here, but that's a squeegee. So Squeegee, Squeegee is a cool tool. It's open source, so you can all check it out. It's going to be on Bitbucket, not GitHub, on account of the fact that it's built by a friend of mine at Atlassian. So of course they're going to dog food and use Bitbucket. His name's Mike Fuller, very clever guy. He's one of their senior systems engineers. And it's essentially a server ETL pipeline for the data in your cost and usage report. This data can be really messy and requires some transformation before it's really something that you can understand. So I'll just quickly walk through some of the components, and then we'll go through a brief walkthrough, and it shouldn't be too long. Amazon Glue, it's a fully managed serverless ETL service. You can source your data from S3, Redshift, RDS, or any SQL databases running on EC2 instances. And once your data is in the AWS Glue catalog, you're able to query that data using AWS Athena. What's AWS Athena? Or EMR and Redshift Spectrum. What's AWS Athena, you ask? Well, it's an interactive query service with which you can use standard SQL. It's fully serverless and it works well with AWS Glue. So that's about two of the key components of this solution. Here's the diagram. So do I have a laser pointer? Yeah, awesome. Always wanted to use one of those. Here's AWS. They're putting daily, a couple times a day, they're putting gzipped CSV files into your cost and usage report bucket. This is something that doesn't happen by default. You've got to actually turn it on. So make sure that that's turned on. It's really handy. When that happens, there's an S3 put event that we configure over an SNS topic. It triggers a Lambda with the manifest file. So there's a little manifest.json file that comes through in the same directory where that CSV file has been dropped. That Lambda function only has a responsibility of creating an AWS batch job. AWS batch will create instances, spot instances that will run Docker containers. There's a Docker container image maintained by Atlassian to actually do the extract, to do the transformation. And this AWS batch then pulls the data out of all of the cost and usage report data listed in the manifest, so anything that's changed. And it will turn that into Parquet files, and that's one of the file formats from the previous talk. It's a good file format for structured and semi-structured data. The Parquet files remain in the S3 bucket. It's a separate bucket, an analytics bucket, so we can always go back and look at the data at some other time. The batch job then goes and creates or updates a glue crawler, and that glue crawler will then update Athena, the glue crawler will have in the service catalog the latest data that's been put in our analytics bucket. then separately, we've got a nice little BI application that can use Athena to query that data directly from Glue. So I'll demonstrate an example that we've got of Redash. Has anyone used Redash before? Yeah, so you can use Redash with this really easily, and there's an example CloudFormation stack that you can utilize. Cool, so just quickly going over the cost of this solution. So we've found running this that it can cost anywhere between $5 and $10 a month for small to medium business, and up to $100 for an enterprise, and that's just in the AWS cost. There's no license, of course, it's open source. S3, you got probably under 10 gigabytes of Parquet files if you're a small business, and probably over 30 if you're an enterprise. That's not going to cost you a lot. SNS should be well within your free tier. Lambda is only used to write the manifest file to the batch job. The reason why that's been done, that's the second iteration of the architecture. Previously, all of the transformation was happening in the Lambda, and we were reaching timeouts. So we weren't able to actually get through all the transformation by the time the job was done, and that's why we're now doing it in AWS batch. CloudWatch logs shouldn't cost you a lot. It should be well within the free tier. Glue, the crawlers cost 44 cents for each data processing unit hour. And there's a 10-minute minimum crawler run, just that's something to be aware of. And you're charged by the second. So it shouldn't be a lot. It should come to about $5 a month. And finally, batch. It's using Spot instances for the compute. It's really hard to tell how long and how much that's going to cost you, but it's usually less than $50 a month for most businesses. So it's quite a cost-effective solution. All right, I'll quickly go through a short demo. The demo gods were quite unkind to me. I wasn't allowed to show our company cost data, as my co-founder had a little chat with me and let me know that's probably not a good idea. So I created a sandbox account, and unfortunately AWS has not yet published my cost and usage data in time for the presentation, so that's slightly disappointing, but we'll continue anyway, and I'll walk through what we've got. Yeah, thanks. Cool. So I'll first start off with our CloudFormation stacks. Great microphone stand. Let's hear it for Shimon. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. Do you have any template to deploy the entire solution?
Yeah. So it's all here in Atlassian's Squeegee repository.
You're using one hand.
I got lazy. We've got some stacks here. You can just launch right from here. Sure. So you can launch the stack directly from this repository. What's going on?
So you can launch everything from a CloudFormation template that you
Yeah.
purchased.
Yeah. So I'll show you. This is the CloudFormation template. Is he not going to buy me breakfast or something? So we've got two stacks. I'll walk you through the two stacks that contain everything. One is a master stack. We've got, I don't need this now. Now I get the point. Okay, so we've got a master stack. There are two nested stacks inside. One is to create a VPC, which contains all of the resources. And then we've got the actual cost and usage report stack. We'll go through some of these resources, creates the SNS topic, SNS policy, transform trigger, and transformer permission. Cool. And we've got at our master stack level all of the batch job definition, glue, crawler, role, so on and so forth. It uses, this is something interesting, so we're using just a little bit of DynamoDB. Didn't mention that yet. And that's actually for mutex, so for mutual exclusivity. When it's running, we're using DynamoDB just to create locks, basically, on different parts of the report. And the second CloudFormation template is the Redash example. So we've just got a very basic example of Redash running, and it's something that you can get started with. And the goal here, it's not production ready, and I definitely changed the security group configuration and everything else, but there's a Redash example here. So if you want to actually set this up in your own environment later today, you're ready to go. And there are even a few example queries. Some example queries a bit lower down to let you know where are the example queries. It's in this repository, I think. I'll just show you in Redash. So we've got two. There's somewhere in the documentation, I can't see right now, but your EC2 costs over the last 3 months. So if I go to edit the source, we can just see here an SQL query for that. So you can just write standard SQL queries. It's really handy. I wish I had the data plugged in, because then I'd be able to show you. You can just execute the results and you can build your own dashboard. It looks really schmick. And it's a really easy way to get some basic visibility about where you're spending money in your organization without paying a lot for tools or anything. So it's really quite handy. Yeah, so that's about it. Thank you. Yeah, feel free to come say hi after the presentation, and any questions now.
The question is like the latest improvement of the Cost Explorer, which is built in on top of AWS, like for even more advanced reporting.
Totally.
Why to use that?
So I didn't mention, and thank you for reminding me, the goal is to actually develop a repository of different queries that we're able to use collectively. So the idea is that we can write queries for how many unallocated EIPs do I have, and you can start to develop a series of different queries that can be shared more broadly between the community. Those are some very basic examples, but yeah, there's a lot more that we could get beyond what we can get from the stock standard Cost Explorer. There are a few alternatives also listed at the bottom of the repository. Yeah. Yep.
How many users do you have?
Of this, it's open source. It's really hard to tell how many people are using it. We've got an indication it's somewhere like 100. I didn't write the tool. It's my friend's tool. So, but somewhere around 100 organizations currently. Yeah.
What's the type of tagging for resources you prefer?
Yeah, so it can see any tags that you're exporting in your report. So it depends on what tags you've got in your environment. Whatever tags are there will show up in the report. Any others? Cool. Well, thanks for having me. Cheers.